So recently I've made videos on the medieval flags of Denmark and Norway. And today I want to make one on the country where everyone has blonde hair with blue eyes and loves eating meatballs every day. That's right, today we're completing the Scandinavian trio and we're looking at the flag of Sweden. Although, while this flag is the most famous flag of Sweden, there is in fact another flag which was once used. Now, it's actually not that one, because that's the old flag of Norway. And this interesting fact is that Sweden and Norway are the only historical flags that feature golden lions on them. Which is a shame. If there are new countries coming around in the 2030s, please feature another lion, because they're really cool on flags. But, as I was saying, there is in fact another flag of Sweden apart from this golden cross. And this flag is the one that we see here on the right. Well, Sweden is one of the Scandinavian countries that has been around for a while. Some of its first inhabitants are very well known, the Vikings. But as we know, flags only came to use kind of late in history. And despite the fact that Vikings had some standards, symbols, and maybe what one could actually consider as flags, they didn't represent Sweden as a country. Just the Viking culture. So, for example, in the 14th century, during the reign of the Folkung dynasty, we know that the Swedish king Erik X used a royal banner of blue and white wavy diagonal stripes with a golden lion superimposed. However, for much of the Viking Age, different symbols were used on banners. These could include symbols like ravens or serpents, wolves and lions. Ravens, in particular, seem to have been quite important, being linked to the god Odin, who was associated with the nobility. Wolves and dragons as well come across frequently in Germanic mythology, and so were probably sought-after symbols as well. Starting from around 1100, with the reign of Jarl Folker the Fat, we start to see more heraldic symbols and animals like lions and eagles appearing on liveries and coats of arms. And in 1250, in the reign of Birger Jarl, we know that he was using a royal banner of blue and white wavy diagonal stripes with a golden lion superimposed. But the first time that we actually see this is in 1319, on the seal of King Magnus Eriksson, who, as you can see, has a crowned lion on a striped background. Now, in 1523, the Kalmar Union that had been Denmark, Norway and Sweden fell apart when Sweden pulled out. This left Sweden as an independent kingdom under King Gustav Vasa, and this led to the expansion of the Swedish Empire into the Baltic region, where modern Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania and northern Germany became part of it. The Swedish Empire's greed also continued to increase, as they sought to conquer more member states of the Holy Roman Empire. In 1634, everything changed for the Swedish Empire, as the conquered Baltic regions became independent. But during the Napoleonic Wars, the Swedish Empire backed the right side, and their fortune shifted again. They would go on crusades again in the Baltic regions, but this time avoiding regions within the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the birth of Sweden is related to Christianity and the conversion to Christianity from Norse paganism. Well, it's important to say that this next initial part of the story is viewed as mythology, and its likeliness to be real is obviously not confirmed. It dates back to the 12th century, 1157, when the first Swedish crusade is said to have taken place. A military expedition to southwest Finland with the aim of converting the defenders to Christianity, led by King Erik IX. Legend says that as he landed, King Erik saw a golden cross in the sky, and seeing it as a sign from God, he adopted it as his flag. King Erik was then the founder of the House of Erik, which ruled Sweden, or parts of it, on and off from 1156 to 1250. But there are other theories for the origin of the flag. Some say that it was created by King Charles VIII in 1442, who, some also say, introduced the coat of arms of Sweden. 3 yellow crowns on a blue background, then using the model of the Danish flag and adapting it with these different colours. And others claim that the flag was initially blue with a white cross, being changed to yellow by King Gustav I. And the images that we see of old flags from that time are in fact blue and white. But this might be because the yellow has faded away and now looks white. The explanation which seems the most logical for me is the second one, an adaptation of the Danish flag with the colours of Sweden's coat of arms. Especially because in its early history, Sweden was often united with Denmark, like when the Kalmar Union took place in the 14th century, then recovering its independence in 1523. And even apart from that, Denmark's flag was one of the first in the world, if not the actual first. So it would make sense that any new flag would be modelled after it, especially because of the cultural proximity. So, I guess we can't be 100% sure of how the flag was invented. Its exact age is also unknown. Now, in 1814, Sweden invaded Norway, captured it, and made it part of the Swedish Empire. However, they were quite lenient in their terms when dealing with the Norwegians, and so allowed them to have a flag to represent Norway within the Swedish Empire. Of course, in 1818, the Swedes ruling over Norway decided to implement this Swedish flag as the flag for the Norwegians, but with a canton in the corner. This was to enable Norwegian ships to sail further and avoid payments they couldn't afford. And in 1844, Norway decided to revamp this flag to this one. The main flag, obviously, was the Norwegian flag that had been chosen, but the canton showed a mixed flag with Sweden to indicate that it was part of a partnership with Sweden. Now, this canton itself was also sometimes used as a flag in diplomacy, when representing the partnership of Sweden and Norway abroad. And as you can see, it's quite an interesting design. Now, this for a long time was the flag situation in Scandinavia. The much cleaner-looking Danish flag, and then the Union flag of Norway and Sweden, with its various iterations. However, in the 1890s, the union between Sweden and Norway fell apart when Norway pulled out peacefully. The Norwegian Parliament voted to remove the Union canton from their flag, and they kept this pure design that we know today as the flag of Norway. But in Sweden, this remained to be the flag representing the country until 1905. Later that year, the Swedish Parliament voted to abolish the use of the Union mark, and it was removed from the main flag. This flag, with a dark blue background and a golden cross, would fully be enforced in 1905, after the dissolution of the Union and when Sweden became fully independent. However, in 1906, the Parliament proposed the use of light medium blue and golden yellow colours. This marked the end of this flag design, which had darker shade of blue to this one, and since then it has been the same Swedish flag flying over the country's cities and towns and ships. So, that's basically the history of the Swedish flag. I hope you found that interesting. And this is the final piece that was missing in my Scandinavian flag history roundup. So, yeah, basically, if you want to see more flag videos, I could do one on Germany, which has quite an interesting flag history in Europe. Finland. There are a few things I could talk about there as well, I suppose. Or, if you want to see other kinds of videos, please don't hesitate to let me know which ones you'd like to see in the future, and I will go from there. So, thank you all very much for watching. A huge thank you to all my subscribers, who are incredibly encouraging and generous with their support. Thanks also to everyone who supports me in any way. I hope to see you all again very soon.